Davisburg, Michigan Antique Festival. Right there at the fairgrounds. Went there for the first time about 6 years ago. And Victoria wanted me to go with her. And she was concerned that I would be bored. Because if you watch Train Spotting and they say, the women say, what are you guys talking about? They say sports, football. And they ask to the women, what are you talking about? They say shopping. So shopping is supposed to be for women, and women are supposed to love antique festivals. But there's so much stuff there. There are pickaxes. There are chainsaws. There are dictionaries. There are things you would not imagine you were on the look for until you see it and you say, ah. And like the first time we went there 6 years ago, when I was still living in Kalamazoo, she took me to the antique fair. She was worried about me being bored. And immediately we walked in and I found a globe that had a light within it that made a perfect night light. I'm like, that's fantastic. Spin it. Where have I been? Where in the world? That's the game I used to play when I was on the radio. Where in the world? You spin the damn globe and you put your finger on it with your eyes shut and you say, ah. You tell a story about what happened when you were in that place. And if you land on some place that you haven't been, you just make one up. That's how I killed a guy in an alley in Vietnam. I had to make up a story. That's why I don't go to Vietnam, because I'm afraid if I made up a story, I need to make it real. Be careful what you wish for, lest you become it. Be careful of the lies you tell to yourself. So, like those many years ago, I got a picture of Slow Uncle Tom, the relative nobody wants to talk about. I got that there. I just was wild. I love an antique festival, so we went to the antique festival today. And I took a backpack with me because I didn't know how much we'd be buying. Right away, she walked in and saw a walking stick for her dad that has an antler, one spine of an antler, coming out the top of it. And it's about 6 feet long. Back off, 6 feet. So she bought that. We were at the goddamn antique festival. It was fantastic. And immediately she got that. And then we were walking, and all of a sudden a bugle started to play. It was like noon. I would put that at noon, immediate, high noon. And there were these cops at a cop little station thing that they had their own tent, and they folded a flag and they explained every fold of it. And I remembered every time I've folded a flag and I understand how it works. these people are fantastic. And then immediately as we sat there and I was supposed to salute, they said, any veterans, take off your hat and salute. And we listened to the national anthem, and I got to give a salute because it does what it's told. It puts the lotion on. I stood there. We stood there for like 5 minutes, and I'm focusing. I'm trying to listen to the song. I'm focusing on people that are wandering around. I'm seeing old people that should have been veterans in Vietnam that just keep walking. They don't care that there's a guy playing taps on the bugle. And then they fold the flag, and you stand there. They're committing a ceremony, and it's a good ceremony, and nobody fucking cares. You think I'm the problem? I don't hold too much emotional, affinity for this stuff. However, I get emotional when I know that it means something to someone. And so I stand there the whole time. I hate standing still. No good soldier ever wants to sit still. Oh, you mean we're safe? Oh, you mean nobody's going to hurt us? You're not there to remain safe. And then they called me over because I happened to be standing right there. I was the only one that lasted, it seems. And they said at the end of it all, after the people were walking around and buying donuts at the time that the national anthem was playing. I mean, you fucking people. And then they said, any veterans? They what? Any veterans in here, please come up here. And I just happened to be standing there, so I couldn't really walk away. And this guy, he said, we have a thing for you. And I saw other people walking around with it throughout the day. I saw the line. There were other veterans there. But he gave me this flag. And it doesn't even have that poor guy's name on it. He gave me an actual flag. I thought, this is a wonderful place, this antique festival. They're bringing people together because throughout the day, we ran across hardcore lesbians. Like, they're going to fix something. You want to act like a lesbian's a bad person to have around? They're fixing everything because they want to live up to the man that you are supposed to be. So they're hardcore lesbians walking around all over. I heard somebody behind me at one point say, the lesbian game is harsh right now. It was, there was a quote that I heard. So they're fixing things, go lesbians. And then there were gay people there. And then there were a bunch of mindless people walking around that every time I saw a traffic meter head on a table and looked at a guy that should have known what I was talking about. I said, gosh, in case you want to play Cool Hand Luke at home, you can buy that. And he's like, what? I said, cutting off the heads of traffic meters. Paul Newman? He says, oh, I've heard of him. I'm like, Okay, you don't get the fucking joke. You're not bright enough to get the joke. There was another person I ran. I went back to tell that same joke again to a guy, and he's like, yeah, cool. Yeah, I remember that movie. He didn't get the joke that I was making. But then there was another guy that was walking with his friend. And this is the sneaky part. Sometimes they look like regular people, but they're mentally handicapped. This guy had a regular face, and all of a sudden I could hear an airplane flying over my head. And this guy next to his friend, he looks up and he says, oh, there's an airplane. And I mentioned it to Victoria. I said, look, I said, every one of us, all through our lives, every time an airplane is going over our heads, it catches our attention. There's something very cool about it. There's something very cool about an airplane. It's the first step to a fucking spacecraft, which is the first step towards making everything so fantastic. Let's just go out and see what there is. But instead, this guy, who's probably in his late 30s and early 40s, is like a mentally handicapped person saying, look, look, mommy, there's an airplane up in the sky. He's like a 3-year-old dealing with this. I'm like, these are the people around. But then I went into another barn where they had antique stuff, and the guy saw this. One of these dim, simple people, he saw this that they put on me. I couldn't take it off. I had to wear it the whole day. I let him put it on me. I cannot disrespect them that way if they have gone so far as to respect me. So I wore this thing, and this guy looks at me and he says, what's that? And I forgot I was wearing it. I saw one angry lesbian with one that screwed somebody on a deal earlier. I'm like, there are others like us out here. They marked us. This angry lesbian screwed some woman on a deal and laughed. And I was like, oh, that's terrible. But here I am wearing this thing. I forgot I had it on. And this guy's like, what's that? And I looked at him. I said, oh, I won that in the Special Olympics. I just made a joke like anybody would understand. Look at me. Do I get away with being in the Special Olympics? I'm too smart for that, right? Oh. And he says, the real Olympics or the Special Olympics? And I'm like, this is a normal looking person. We're surrounded by these people that don't fucking get the joke, and they don't understand they're being lied to. If you don't get the joke, you don't know the lie. That's what it comes down to. And so through that, he says, the real Olympics or the special? And he told me the Special Olympics are like 2 weeks after, right after the Olympics, is what he said. And I'm like, this fucker was in the Special Olympics, or he's just a moron. I had the sense that he was trying to hate the Olympics for the opening ceremonies, but what's that got to do with America? America can't tell anybody what to do. Not supposed to. We just get along, right? And so I got a medal right after that. Look at this. Ah. There was something, there was a picture sitting on it. It had to be moved and something else. But I saw this. carrying this thing around. Everybody gave Victoria credit for having that walking stick she bought for her father. They didn't know what I was carrying around. Look at this fucking dictionary. Look at it. Oh. If you're afraid of antique shows, you're afraid of finding something you've been looking for forever. I've always loved the dictionary. And I was opening this up. Look at it. Look at it. I even went in and weighed it. I carried this thing around on my back in that thing hidden from the world so nobody would steal it from me. And it was 13 pounds of shit just hanging off on my neck. I can carry a lot of weight, but it turns out this is 13.3 pounds, this dictionary. And somebody saved a word. Oh, geez, I'm going to have to put this on. Somebody had a word saved, and it would be difficult to discover what it is with so many on one page. But they put in an image of this. I don't know who that is. Is it Edward Murrow? I don't know. That's a guy on the phone with a glass of liquor. I saw it coming out of the top of it when I bought it. I looked at the woman and I saw the $35 price on it on the inside. And I told the woman, I said, make it 27. We don't have that kind of money. And as it turned out, I made a joke, she haggled it down. The change that came back turns out to be about $13. So it was a haggle situation. We bought the thing for cheap. We got a picture of someone. I'll have to look that up somehow. Adnerval, moving toward the nerve, applied to an electrical current passing along an animal fiber. There are all kinds of words in here. I opened it to the front to figure out when it was first published. Copyright, that's like 1954. And then I opened it to the back because I knew there would be more stuff in here. Right there, this one, no joke, first time I ever opened it up. Constitution of the United States is in there. I'm sure it's got everything else I need. One of the things that I opened it up to in the back was about the massive historical dates in Canadian history. When I was still standing there and I was excited, I'm like, look at this. Look at this. I said, look, it'll have something back here. And like right now it's literature, but I opened up to the back. Massive, important times in Canadian history. And it said murders of, and it talked about LeBouf or something and some other. They were priests March 16th, March 17th of like the late 1800s. I read it hours ago. I don't remember exactly. But it was a bunch of Native Americans who killed these priests in Canada. You always thought the problem was with the United States. Canada had its problems too. That's why they have Orange Shirt Day. But look at that. There was nothing, and I don't think anybody in there understood how happy I was or how happy they should be. They saw me smiling when I read the murder of priests. And look at that. It's rare to see anybody love something this good.